Howdy folks, welcome to the brewery. Today it's time to put together Extractaganza number 35. I do this with the put together because today we're doing, I think this is the third of the ESB 3 kilo tins. This is the Mexican Cerveza. It's actually called Cerveza Mexicana, but we don't actually add anything to these tins. We don't really mix them up, we just dump them in, top them up. So it's a bit of a play on words. It's not really correct, but anyway, that's where we're going today. Now, this is a kit I tried to do about a year ago, and if you've been following Extractaganza, you'll remember when there was a bit of a cock up and I had a brew that didn't work. This is the brew that didn't work. And essentially the beer from the outset was just way darker than it should have been. So there was some questions about whether they actually had the right beer in the tin, because the beer itself at the end of the day didn't taste too bad, but it was quite deep coloured. It was nowhere near a Cerveza. So ESB supplied me with a fresh tin after some inquiries about whether there was any issues with the batches and whatnot, and went to explain what had happened. They happily replaced the tin. I picked that up from the brew shop in Nowra. That's where I picked up the tin originally. So it's been a while coming. I think I actually picked this tin up probably through the Christmas holidays. So it was like end of summer, January. So Twang Files will stop me from getting to it. But I'm doing this today, and I'm not going to go through the video of actually putting it together, because I said it's just dumping this into a fermenter, topping up the 22 litres. But I am going to split it, so I'm just letting you know what I'm going to do. The tin says make up the 22 litres with S23 yeast, which is funny because when I bought the kit, they actually gave me a pack of USA 5. And which was a bit strange. I didn't really think anything of it. Well, at that time it was a little bit weird. He gave me an ale yeast for a lager, but wasn't until I sort of got it home and had a look at it and it said S23. I thought, I don't know what's going on there. But so what I'm going to do, I'm going to mix him up. I'm going to drop, with what fermenters I've currently got available, I'm going to put about 15 litres of this into a 20 litre Keg King Junior, and pitch 2 packets of S23. You know, I've got 2 packs here. One's just out of date, one's about 6 months out of date. These have been in my fridge ever since I got them, so they should be, according to all the literature about use, they shouldn't be too bad. I'm going to pitch 2 of those onto the 15 litres. So I've got a good pitch. Hopefully she should be fine. And we're going to stick that in the fridge. The other 7-ish litres I'm going to drop into a little 10 litre fermenter, because that's all I've got available at the moment. And I'm going to pitch that onto it. That is a fresh vial of washed USA 5, which come off the Breeze unhopped extract brew, which I kegged about 4 days ago. I rinsed this yesterday, so it's fresh. So there's about somewhere in the range of about 35 mil of USA 5 slurry in there. Absolutely clean. That should get me somewhere around 100 billion cells, which is on par and probably a little bit more than 1 packet of yeast, so that's not a problem. So I'm going to get that done. I'm going to ferment these at 14 degrees. The O5 will go down that low, I know that, and I want to see how clear it gets. The S23, they say 11 to 15, so it's at the upper end of the range, but it should still be okay. And I'm hoping that we'll get a nice lager out of the S23, and that we'll also get a good clean brew out of that. And I'm interested to see how the two yeasts compare, because I still stand by that USA 5 done at 14 15 degrees will get you, in most cases, will get you a beer as clean as most lagers. And in a lot of cases, cleaner than most home brewers are going to brew a lager. So we'll see how that goes. But I'll get it on, and I will see you very shortly, in about 2 months. Righto, folks. Tasting day on this fella. So got two very, oh, this one's got nice shit over. This fella has poured with very, very little head. Well, actually poured with no head. This one poured with some more head, but it's fallen away pretty quickly. This was carved a little higher. The keg was gassier. There's gas in that fill, but not a real lot. This is the S23 version. This is US05 version. Ferment went through. They both went in the fridge at an ambient temp of 13 degrees initially, and they sat there for 5 days, and both were sitting around 14 degrees in the actual fermenter itself. After 4 days, the S23 come down to 1024, the USA5 had come to 1034. That's from a 1044 original gravity. So the S23 had dropped, you know, about 2/3 of its expected gravity, where that had only dropped, you know, 10 out of an expected 30, so about a third. So massive difference, which I found interesting with, I thought, the lager yeast. But then again, the lager yeast is a little bit higher than what you'd normally run it, and obviously the A5 at 14 is a little bit lower than you'd normally run it. Day 5 up, put the temperature up to 17 degrees in the fridge. Left them there for another 8 days, checked them again. The S23 was at 1028, the O5 was at 1020. So again, temperatures hadn't really been pushed hard, and both brews had still not finished, and that was 13 days in. So that's lower temp, certainly was slowing things along. No nutrient and that sort of stuff added to the brew, so there's nothing else to really help it along. But those times are sort of reflective of the slower yeast, that lower yeast temp for the O5, so that wasn't too much of a concern. Day 14 I ramped the gas in the fermenters up to 18 psi because neither of them had enough gas in them to be ready for bottling, and then on the 2nd of the 8th, so 3 days after that, dropped it down to 2 degrees for a cold crash. 3 days later, kegged at both at 1012, so both got an AVB of 4.2, and should have had good carbonation into the keg. I said, this fella, there's carbonation in there. It's certainly not without carbonation. It's not real high, but yeah, no head. But the main thing you notice is these beers are just incredibly dark for a Mexican Cerveza. They gave me a new kit, but the reality is this is exactly what the other one looked like. So this clearly is how that kit's meant to be. And I've had people online tell me the same thing, they get quite a dark result out of that beer. Okay, that is a bit light on fizz, not real light, but it certainly doesn't taste like a Cerveza. Okay. I get the same thing out of these I was getting out of that original batch I did, taste-wise, is that this isn't a bad tasting beer. It's not terrible. That's a bit better out of the two, partly because it's got a little bit more carbonation. But the actual flavour's not too bad. There's some nice malt. I said that is presenting a little sweet about the carbonation, and I will say that the kegs have been sitting here on the garage floor for the 2 months. Like I said, these were kegged on the 5th of August, so it's like 2 months and 2 days. They sat here on the garage floor for, you know, all but that 2 months. They've been in the fridge for 3 days, probably, you know, 2.5 days. It's probably more accurate. Just to get cold, so I couldn't get them into the keg fridge, and so they're just sitting in the ferment fridge, which is empty, at, you know, serving temp. You know, they're sitting on about 3 degrees, so they haven't had any additional gas put onto them while they've been sitting in the keg fridge. So this one would certainly benefit for some extra gas. That has a nice level of carbonation. It's where it should be, and the beer presents a lot nicer. It's not as sweet, and it's got a little bit of lift in it, a little bit of life. So it's probably not giving it the best example there with the S23, and I was interested to see how they compared lager against US-05 with that cold tap to see whether we get a similar sort of result. At the moment, that's a little bit clearer. That's a little dark. I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, as far as being a Mexican Cerveza, no, we're not. So from that point, the kit's got to get knocked down, savagely knocked down, because, yeah, you're looking for a bright golden, yeah, almost tending to straw sort of a beer, maybe with a little bit of amber notes on some variations, but that's looking like a Munich lager, not anything like a Cerveza. Listen, it doesn't taste too bad. There's no real discernible twang. There's a little, like it's got that kit feel about it, but it's not really coming across as that typical twangy sort of a note. And I've said this before about the ESB, the 3 kilo tins that I have done. They've all been decent beers, with relatively low, you know, off flavour in the background. And this certainly goes along with that. I said it just unfortunately doesn't fit in the style bloody slot that it's meant to. Yeah, that I think would be much more approachable with some higher carbonation. Let's see, both. There's no head. I said that pour with no head. Yeah, and even when you agitate it, there's nothing happening. Yeah, it's a hard one to score. As I said, as per going off the style, I can only give it a 2 or 2.5 out of 5. As far as the kit goes for delivering a decent tasting beer, yeah, it's up there. It's 3.5, maybe even nudging to a 4. So I suppose overall, I'll probably give it a 3 as a general beer. It's, like, again, it does sort of indicate that these ESB 3 kilo kits do make a decent beer. And I've said it before, give them a whirl. And they've got some different styles in there that are a little bit hard, that you can't find in other brands. So if you can get hold of an ESB from your local brewer, and I think outside of Sydney and maybe the Central Coast and South Coast, where they extend into some of their franchises, I think you may have trouble getting the ESB stuff, but it's certainly all available online. And as you've seen, the 3 kilo kit, it's super easy. There's nothing to add to it. Just put the kit in, mix it up, away you go. You can certainly play around and dress them up a little bit if you wanted to, but they make a nice enough beer, with a very, very simple process. So anyway, guys, that's it. Extractaganza number 35. We're back on track. We're back rolling along. You should see the Extractaganza review every month going on. Next Extractaganza brew is it's another Mexican Cerveza. It's Mangrove Jack Cerveza. Again, this is a flow on from when I got a couple of the Cerveza tins, and I was gonna do all the Cerveza tins, yeah, sort of back to back and all together, and then got interrupted, so rudely interrupted by the Twang Files. But keep an eye out for that one. Keep an eye out for other videos. But anyway, for now, if you've got any comments or any questions, stick them down the bottom. Patrons of the channel, thank you as always for your support. There's a link down the bottom to Patreon. That support helps keep the channel going. Lets me, do this. Lets me do Extractaganza and play around with different things. Because if it wasn't for Patreon, I wouldn't be doing Extractaganza. I wouldn't be spending the money and the effort without it. So give it a look. If you subscribe to the channel, thank you. If you aren't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, ring the notification bell. You don't miss any videos, which is great. And if you like what's going on, give me the old thumbs up. But for now, till I see you in the next video, we're brewing beer, drinking beer, or talking beer. Good brewing.